Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again to another episode of the ABJ Podcast. I am your host, Anthony Blackwell Jr. We are back for episode 24. And before we bring our guest in tonight, let's get our housekeeping out of the way. Links for myself and my guests are below, as well as two injured wrestlers on the scene who are making amazing comebacks. One's already driving, one's walking with no crutches. So that's super exciting. Adina Steele and Philly Mike. If you can do anything to support them, they have subscription services as well as pro wrestling tees that you can buy merchandise, or just reach out to them on social media and just say, "Hey, ABJ sent us. You're in our thoughts," and show some love to that independent talent. Also below, I have some links for some upcoming shows. I'll go over one of them. I'll go over a few of them real quick now, but they're all in order of when they're coming out. So next weekend will be Night of Steel. So February 11th at the Falcons Nest in Mayfield, Pennsylvania. Come out and support benefit show for Adina and Philly Mike. Then the weekend after that will be IWA. I'd say you can come, but it's sold out. So keep your eye on IWA for all social media for their shows because they sell out very, very fast. Myself, Rob Williams, and my guest for tonight will be Peter DeLonge. They'll be at that show. Me and Peter again will be at SSW Zero Gravity coming up at the No Limits Boxing Academy in Rio Grande, New Jersey. That's going to be a great time. And then we have the birthday show. I'll be out hanging out, but once again, my guest tonight, Peter DeLonge, will be there on the commentary team with Jordan, and then Samir and George be holding all the festivities down. That's going to be a blast. That's in Thorpe, Pennsylvania. Throop. I don't know how to fucking say it, but anyway. And then after that, when you need a VJ and you can't find one, you find an ABJ, and that's going to be the starting of the Spring Break '93 breakdown in Philly. So come out and get your tickets for High Tension Wrestling. Very excited to be part of that brand again and doing cool things. I have no idea what I'm doing, but we'll figure it out and we'll have a good time. So without further ado, let's bring in my guest, my buddy, my mentor, my commentary papa, Peter DeLonge. You like that?
What an introduction. Yo, it's finally happening, Blackwell.
It's finally this podcast has happened 14 times in the front seat of two cars. Because the beautiful thing about us is we don't shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Even when we should. Even when we definitely should, we do not.
There's only one time I remember where we got in the car and we looked at each other and we're like, we're not talking. Just put music on. I'm sleeping. Actually, twice. It happened twice.
It's going to happen again.
Yeah. The first time was IWA, where we did 49 matches in one day.
39, but still, that's a lot.
39. 30. Yeah, you're right. I thought it was 40, but it's 39 matches in one day. And then the second time was Contest of Champions, because that was a long day.
That was a marathon.
Yeah. That was full 24 hours. Like, we left your house at, 3 a.m?
Yeah.
And got home. I got home at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
That was a long day.
They're
the only two times we got in the car, we're like, we're not talking to each other.
Meanwhile, you wake up and look over. I'm at the wheel going, stay up, stay awake.
I thought you had Parkinson's. I thought you were in trouble. You were shaking violently, just trying to. And I'm like, I'm taking over. I got enough of a nap. Yeah, I drove your car. That was kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, you moved my seat too. It took like a week for me to figure out how to get it back to the perfect spot. Thanks for that.
I'm sorry. I need leg room, but yeah, man. So we met each other via commentary, this world of professional wrestling commentary. I believe I met you at a Backbreakers show, and we kind of corresponded a little bit there. And then I was brought in to Sanctuary, and that's kind of where we really fell into each other. And I was brand new to commentary. I think my first ever commentary gig was the night before at PPW.
Yeah.
And then I had a secondary the same weekend with you, and PPW was just kind of like, there you go, kid, have at it. And I was with Paul Bowe and Julius Kuiper, so they're very, very talented. So they eased me in really well, and I just kind of had to feed off them. And then the next night was just a 2-man booth, and it was me and you. And you kind of gave me some pointers. I learned a lot about how you do things, and we'll kind of dive into that a little bit on the podcast as we keep going. And then we did an entire season at the Sanctuary, and I credit ton of my commentary abilities, and if people say I'm talented or maybe good at this at some form or fashion, I credit to you, because you taught me how to prepare myself for a show, how to get notes for things, how to look up things, and then I've used that every single time I go places now, and but still finding my own way to get things done as well, not completely carbon copying. But that first season at the Sanctuary, man, was really, really special for me. And the beautiful part about that season is there was Friday shows, Saturday shows, and Sunday shows for like 6 months straight.
Yeah.
And we got a lot. I probably have more reps in my first year of commentary than most people do in like 3 years of commentary. Because if you work at one promotion, they run 12 shows a year. If you're lucky, you get 12 reps in 1 year. I had 12 in like the first month. So like it was special.
Yeah, the Sanctuary was fantastic. I mean, I just like you, I credit that place and my reps there in helping me to shape my stuff going forward. And like you said, that was your second show, and they brought you on. I was so excited to have you on there with me. I was because I knew you had the background in broadcasting and whatnot. And you're like, yeah, this is my second show ever. Yesterday was my first, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be this is gonna be a lot
This
of fun.
guy's gonna suck.
But I mean, you picked it up, and we were off and running. And that season that we were there, I think, was probably the most fun year I had on commentary. We had a blast, and the Sanctuary was utilized the way that everyone utilizes the Sanctuary to get in the reps and to hone your craft, to sharpen your skills. And I think that's what we did. And I think if I didn't have that opportunity, thanks to John and Rosh for reaching out to me and having me come in. And I think if I didn't have that opportunity, I wouldn't have been able to kind of, round the corners and kind of shine my craft up a little bit before I went off and did other things. So
Yeah, and it was fun too because like we were at the point too where we kind of like found our style that I would say is different from what you would normally listen to on TV commentary. Like, I think if you were to break us down, you're the play-by-play, I'm color, but we also figured out a way to kind of blend the lines between both and do that very well. Like, we don't really have that blame. Like, Pete's the color play-by-play, and I'm only color. Like, sometimes on color, I'll call a move, and we just have this flow natural where we kind of blend the lines between the two, and I think it works very well.
yeah, and I don't know if anybody would see that as a detriment or something that's less than favorable, but that's just the way I work, and that's the way you work, and I'm more comfortable doing that. And I've been in situations where people say, all right, I'm going to do color, you do play by play, and I say, all right, and I do my best to stick with the angle that I need to come from, but I always end up blending the two, and I get excited. I mean, that's the style that I bring. That I come at it as if I'm just watching it in the in my living room with a couple of friends, and I get excited and pumped up and whatnot, and I forget where I'm at a lot of times, and and I mean, I try to do. I always try to approach it like with a specific voice, because I'd like to I emulate what I see. I emulate what I see on television and say, okay, can I fit into that? And I try to make it grandiose and work on my intros and work on my outros and try to be the straight man. But then you come in and
I throw a monkey dick right into it
every time, and then it eventually turned into you just trying to break me. And we because of that, we had some of the best times, man.
Yeah, and a lot of the times where I'm trying to break you, I don't tell you what's coming. We don't plan anything out. And I started doing that at the Sanctuary. I remember saying something funny, and I remember you just like taking your mic and going and just dying laughing, and it made my confidence level shot straight up. And I was like, all right, how do I keep interjecting that but not making it about myself?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, like I don't want to make it all about myself, but I think at some point in time, your commentary team, if you're strong enough, you should be part of the show as well. And people should like, and I feel that's what we've kind of built. Like people look forward in certain promotions to us on commentary because of what we bring to the table. Like we're part of the show, and that feels good. We're not just background noise. Like some commentary people are just background and they're just generic commentary, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we bring that dynamic where people are like, "Well, what's Pete and Tony gonna say?" You know what I mean?
And that's the struggle, because you don't, like you said, you don't want to put yourself over more than what you're calling. You don't want to try to be the show more than what what's going on. And so you have to find that balance between fading into the background and jumping out at in front of what's going on. And I think, I don't know if we struggled all that much in the beginning. I think it was pretty natural the way we kind of slid into those positions and did pretty well for ourselves in that respect.
I think my favorite break for you is when we were at
There's plenty to choose from.
yeah, my favorite one though is, and I don't think anyone really listened to it or heard it, but it was one of my favorites because it was like a long telling story, like a long telling joke that was going on the whole show, but it was subtle. But the whole time we were at an outdoor show under a tent, and it rained the night before. So your chair where you were sitting just kept sinking into the mud. And you kept saying, I'm falling and my chair is sinking. I go, well, maybe that's a sign, Pete, to lose some weight. And you're like, look at you, you son of a, like you broke and like started lashing out at me. And then halfway through the match, Bad Company came over and took, I didn't give up my chair, but you gave up yours. And they took the chair, and he goes, I think he's hitting with my chair. And I said, yeah, you could tell about 3/4 of it, the legs are covered in mud.
Yeah.
And you're like, you son of, and that's another one. You move the mic, and you're like, you son of a bitch. But it's
Good
fun,
stuff.
and like, and I like the Sanctuary too. Like we kind of experimented with the heel face, and then like, hey, this show I'm gonna do play by play, and you do color, and like we would just because like not saying no one listened to the Sanctuary, but we were kind of rebringing that Sanctuary commentary back into the fold anyway, and we were just experimenting and getting better and taking it to that place, and it was awesome, man. I don't know, and I love the way how it carried on, and essentially we're like becoming Jersey's commentary team everywhere we go. It's
Well,
nuts to think about.
saying all the stuff with Sanctuary, I just want to just one more time, a big thanks to John Trosky for getting us in
Yes.
there and allowing us to do that. Because we would go to John and say, hey, listen, what do you think about this? How do you how do you feel about us doing this or and he says just go, just do it. I trust you guys. And we looked at we would look at each other and go, all right, this is, I guess we're doing this. And
Look at this
thank you, Ricky
scumbag.
Price. Thank you.
Let me stretch real quick.
That Ricky Price is going to be fantastic. This is going to be his breakout year, man. I'm telling you.
I would never support him in any form or fashion, like wearing his T-shirt or anything.
Yeah, but like John Trosky really gave us an opportunity to shine and spread our wings, and I'll be eternally grateful for that. And the following, then the season ended, and then the next season came up, and I said, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to swing this because my Sunday bookings were coming up, and then I was getting booked a lot more, and the time home with the family was becoming more and more precious, and Sundays were like, oh man. And then I found out that you and Brian were doing it, you and BP Burke, and I said, "All right, I'm good now." And then I heard you guys on there, and I said, that's their place now, man. You and Burke, you and BP Burke really took over that place and did it right, and you're doing spectacularly. And I hope that the two of you are going to come back for the next season, because you've just been doing really, really well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I just right before this, I watched Prince Ahmed just posted like a compilation video, and the end was him being crowned at the Sanctuary, and the narrative was you describing what like you're calling like what's going on, and Ahmed, his ancestors looking down and proud, and it was just I forgot about how good that was, and you just knocked it out of the park in that moment. It was really good.
And that was the cool thing too, is like a lot of talent would just kind of trust us to be like, hey, this is kind of what I'm going for, roll with it. And then like Ahmed was one who really said like between you and Pete and Brian, like you guys are putting more into my character than I ever thought of. Like he's like, I kind of thought I was doing that with my submission game, but the way you describe it and how I pinpoint something and like using the Assassin's Creed references and stuff like that. He goes, I never thought of that for my character. And then having talent are naming moves. We named moves last year. Like we gave people new moves for their finisher because they don't tell us, or like we're naming it tonight.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he would say like I don't know, come up with something, and then the following week I would actually look up. I remember Googling Egyptian torture and looking up like historical stuff and finding that one of some pharaoh, I forget his name now, and I had it written down, but I guess he was a very cruel pharaoh, and he was known for like mutilating people. And he actually took a city in where he was and put a wall around it and put all the people that he mutilated into this city. So this one city was known for all its inhabitants were people that were disfigured and injured and by this guy. And so I said, I gotta work that in. And so I somehow worked it in that he wants to reopen the walls of whatever the name of the city was or whatever.
Yeah.
And it got my creative juices going. Now that I'm thinking about it, Blackwell, that I don't know if I don't know about you, but I don't know if I would be where I am right now, or if I would have been in the situations that I've been in if it weren't for the sanctuary. Because we met. That's where we met PJ Savage. That's where we met Ahmed. That's where we met the Faceless Ones, Bougie, JS Hawthorne, all these guys that we now see on the indies in other promotions. And some of those people put out the good word for us. Say, listen, I know these guys. They action well. Give them a try, and we've gotten in there. And now we got opportunities there. And I don't think if it were for the sanctuary to meet those people and make those relationships, I don't think it would have worked the same way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And going back to the BP, is there was a lot of times we went to the sanctuary and somebody else would come in, and I kind of got shit for this. I'll talk a little about it a little bit. I just found out about this a couple weeks ago, but there was moments where we were at shows and people would be like, "Hey, Chosky, be like, I want to bring this person in and have them try out on commentary." And there'd be times where I was like, well, at first I would be like frustrated because it'd be like, man, I can't, it's hard to develop a flow. And then once I got to the point at the sanctuary, I was like, yo, I'm here all the time. I'm getting 4 weeks or like 3 or 4 ups a week. And then somebody would come in. I'd be like, dude, just take the whole show and work with Pete because it helped me so much. So I would step away from commentary completely and put Brian in there, put Maestro in there. Who was the guy that used to roll up with
Jack Manley?
Jack Manley. And I was
Yep.
like, dude, just stay in there. And they're like, well, don't you want to rep? I said, I'm here all the time. This is 20 minutes from me. This is not a far drive. I'm not traveling as far as you guys are. And I really honored your work and what you did and what you did for me and how comfortable you made me feel as a commentary person. So I was like, dude, just take the reps and do it. Like, take the whole show. Because if I come in and do a match and then put you in and then you do a match and then I take you out and then we rotate, you don't develop a flow in a show. And that's a disservice to a commentary person. So if like just a pointer to commentary out there or people who are out there running promotions, stop making commentary a spot where you just stick somebody because you have nothing else for them to do, and don't have them do the 1 or 2 match thing if they're trying to make this a thing because it's hard to develop a flow. Just give somebody a full show, just like, you know what I mean, like let them work.
And I know one of Ace Austin's boys came in and sat with me for a couple shows. He
Yep.
he did really well. I can't remember his name. He actually had a cool name. I forget what it was though.
Mhm.
But I ended up enjoying. Like at first, it kind of made me nervous, but I ended up enjoying that because it helped me to kind of like stretch my muscles there and kind of like say, okay, let's try this. Let's try something different. Being able to adapt in a different situation. And over the last 2 years, I'm sure you've learned just as much as I have that indie wrestling, you need to learn how to adapt to changing scenarios all the time. And be able to switch off to be able to work with different people and whatnot, because things change at a moment's notice. And I think that got me more comfortable with it. And at the same time, it got us more comfortable, got us more creative, because when Jack Manley would come in, he was involved in the storylines with the Walker clan and whatnot. And because of that, we decided to try and figure out ways to bring him in, reasons for him being there, reasons for
sense.
one of us stepping out, So we would come up with a little story. So it got us to do things for us. There was even a storyline going on with the commentary team, and it didn't overshadow anything else that was going on. So it was a way to get us more creative with what we were doing and work on the fly and change at a moment's notice. And that's huge in indie wrestling, because stuff changes all the time at the very last moment,
And just kind of like how you said how like, oh, someone trusts you enough to be their first person, like hey, go with this person, he's good, he'll make you comfortable. That happened to me a few times too, like at Camp Leapfrog doing like the pre-show stuff. It's like, hey, I'm gonna put you on the pre-show with Blackwell because he'll help you and I like working with Kai McKenna and working with a lot of talent who've never done commentary, and they're like, hey, is this your first time? I was like, this is like my second week. You know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean? But it was like, it feels good to have that opportunity to work with people, how you were saying, and get those creative juices flowing. Another interesting thing with commentary that's kind of happened to me since then is like, now people want to work angles with me on commentary. Where like, so it kind of started with Ricky, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but somebody at Shore Star wants to start doing it as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somebody on Shore Star wants to have a commentary. I guess my heel work's getting good because people want to start rivaling the commentary team, which means that we're doing our job. You know
We're
what I
doing
mean?
something right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Listen, I have no
I have
problem
to
getting
tell
involved.
people.
I have
I
no
have to
problem
tell
getting
people
involved.
like, I'm sorry, with a little delay. So I have to keep telling people like after the show, like, hey, I actually don't hate you. Because like I had to do it with John out at Pro Wrestling After Dark, like because you were like, man, you crushed him. I was like, and after the show, like, John, I love you. You know that, right? Like, if I'm gonna play this heel character, which I told myself and I told you, I'm like, I'm never gonna be a character. I'm just gonna be me. But like, I am kind of a smart ass, so I just
Fun.
use that to my advantage. You know?
Yeah, I mean, in wrestling, wrestlers always say your character is you turn up to 11, and that can definitely go for commentators as well, you know.
Yeah.
But now I forget what I was going to say before when I
I'm
started
sorry, I
cutting
fucked
you
you
off.
out.
That's okay. It'll come to me like an hour after we're done, and
Well,
I'll
I was
message you.
talking about people wanted to work with commentary from the ringside.
Oh yeah. I have no problem with getting involved as long as it doesn't take away from a spot from from
And I'm
the
not
show
taking
and
a bump.
whatnot. Or but I mean I got involved with IWA, and that was because it was a small moment, a fun thing. It didn't take anything away from anyone else. And then when it was over, I was gone, done, right back to the table. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm okay with, as long as it doesn't take the shine away from somebody else.
Yeah, and just recently, early at the end of last year, sorry, you had a moment where you, I felt like I don't know if you probably did because you're in the same mindset as me, but you're humble and not super outputting when it comes to it. But you were chosen by someone to host a commentary seminar, and not only did you get a chance to host a commentary seminar where you're teaching other people how to be commentary people, we got to do it with New Japan commentator, former backstage interviewer of ROH and WWE, Kevin Kelly. Um, and I love Kevin. He's a hardworking guy, but I'm gonna say it here. You put your ass into that seminar and you took the reins of it. You know, I think a lot of people were like happy that Kevin was associated with it, but you held your own there. And that seminar, and I kept telling you, man, like you bring more to the table than you think you do. Kevin's gonna tell them how to be TV ready, but you're gonna teach these commentators how to get ready on the independent scene. Because on TV, all the characters are set in stone. All the characters' character work is figured out by somebody else. They're giving you books and pamphlets of everything to do. You don't get that luxury of commentary and independent scene. You got to do that yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I am super uncomfortable with any level of praise. So that was so even it when Chad came to me and came with the idea. I could probably go back in my messages and find out, but it was something like, are you sure I'm qualified for this? Like, I don't think I am. And he assured
I think
me
you
he
wrote that
he had.
seminar training me at Sanctuary.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he said absolutely, and I kicked some ideas back and forth. He really just said, let's do a seminar, and left it up to me, and I came up with with what how we could the format of it, and I came up with the idea of everybody's there for Kevin Kelly, but Kevin Kelly's going to be there to tell you uh how to get noticed and hired by the big companies. But you got to get to there first. You got to you got to get your reps. You got to get good enough to be noticed. So in order to get to that level where Kevin's going to tell you what to do next, so I felt that the seminar was going to be good to have me say, all right, here from start until getting notoriety and getting reps and getting known in the commentary and getting good, and then Kevin jumps in and says, once you're good, here's what you do next to get noticed by the to look as valuable as possible to the big guys, and it worked out perfectly.
I
And
was so weirded out that day because I was like, I want to be part of it because like people know I'm a commentary guy and I don't want to seem like a big shot. Just like I don't fucking need that. I ain't doing it. And then I kind of went to like you and you're like, I don't know. Like I don't like you're kind of like I don't like everything you're gonna learn is everything like you'll be fine. And then I kind of went to Kevin and I was like, Kevin, do you think I should do this? And Kevin's like, I heard your commentary, and the other guy that's gonna like, there's nothing I'm gonna teach you that you're not already doing, and the other guy that's gonna teach you, you work with 4 times every week or 4 times a month. I think you can sit this one out. Just go over to the table and help AXW recruit. And I was just like, you got it.
all right, that's a good vote of confidence right there. But
Yeah.
But it was great working with him. I mean, it was a dream come true. I've known, I've listened to Kevin Kelly's voice for a long time and whatnot, and it was just cool to be right next to him and coming up to him and say, all right, what do you want to do? And then talking, like having a conversation about how we want to work everything out, and just it was a really cool experience, and I feel like I learned that I have skills that I didn't know I had before, because once the seminar was done. we had to go over. We coincided with the super camp. So once the wrestlers were done with their warm up, and Anthony Green did a spectacular job of with the warm up seminar and whatnot and the drills. Once he was done with that, then it was into, okay, everybody get in line, sign up here, and we're going to have matches. Everybody gets a match. There was almost 200 people there. Everybody got a match. So I'm there with 10 really good commentators, really good broadcasters. Some of them were managers, some of them were announcers, most of them were commentators, but they were all willing to jump on the mic. And I said, all right, let's make this happen. 2 guys at a time, a third headset. So me and Kevin Kelly are gonna start trading off of the headsets, listening, and then once the match is over, have them stand up. 2 more people sit down, and whoever wasn't the third person, me or Kevin, now he switches. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell these guys what I thought of what they did while Kevin Kelly's listening to the next one. That was the plan. Kevin Kelly's a busy man. He knows a lot of people. A lot of people want to talk to him. A lot of people want to, say, hey, come here. I need you to take care of something.
And that's when like the names started showing up, and Kevin was going to see his friends and
right. So Kevin Kelly kept being pulled away to no fault of his own. And so I was there and saying, and at the same time, I realized that the managers, they're sure they want to get on commentary for a match. Cool. But that's not their thing. That's their managers. So I said, all right, there's a line of wrestlers getting ready to go in. I need to find
someone.
Right. I need to find some wrestlers who are going to say, hey, do you mind if these managers come down and do their thing with you? You won't even, it won't even change anything with you. They just want to go out and do their manager thing. No problem. So but in the meantime, you got a couple of guys calling matches and looking around going, Kevin Kelly's talking to somebody. Pete's walking around over there. This is for nothing. What are we doing? So finally I get them hooked up, and, thankfully we got like 80 matches to go. So I come back over and I sit down, and Kevin Kelly came back a few times, and he was able to jump in and give some feedback. But I would say 75% of it was me listening, jumping up.
I hope I got good enough one day that I could run a commentary seminar maybe one day.
Giving feedback and then jumping back in and listening to the next 2. And at first I was like, because I'm not good at giving critiques. I'm not good at saying, okay, here's what you did wrong. But eventually I decided, okay, I got to jump in this. And I was able to identify stuff that I knew, that the mistakes that I used to make. That's what clicked, because I forget exactly what it was, but somebody made a mistake that I used to make all the time. And I said, oh, I know how to fix this. And so I pulled them aside and said, what's that?
Do you remember what my mistake used to be?
What's that?
I used to call it a spot during a match on commentary.
No industry terms, asshole.
Yeah, I used to use industry terms because I was a fan who became a commentary guy, so I didn't know how to change that. Yeah, he's going for the spot, and I remember someone like, "Yo, stop calling a fucking spot." And I'm like, "Oh, my bad."
Oh man, but yeah. So I eventually got my confidence, and I felt better about coaching, and I feel like I helped some people out. And one guy in particular, I gave a critique to, and the next time he went in, he listened, he tried it out, and it was better. And I pulled him aside, and I was like, "That's fantastic! You applied the thing that, and that gave me a little bit of confidence in this coaching ability that I didn't know I had." And then we went like 50 more matches, and we got into a flow. I made sure that everybody, paired up with different people. Everyone was eventually paired up with everyone else. There was a couple guys that spoke Spanish. So I had them, speak Spanish together on commentary. Then I had one speak Spanish and one, I remember David Estacado and Mark Roberts. David spoke Spanish while Mark Roberts did not. And Kevin Kelly said, you speak Spanish and you speak English. And they just went, and it was hilarious.
I would do that in a heart. You know how much fun I would have as a heel commentary with a Spanish guy next to me?
Exactly. And Estacado played it up like he could speak English, but he's choosing not to, and he's having a fun time confusing the other guy. And Mark Roberts played it off as well, trying to play into it, but then go back to it and play like kind of like the goofy, straight man. And we had a lot of fun. And by the time, in the beginning, it was stressful, and this is like a test. And at the end, it was like, let's have some fun, guys. Let's have a good time.
I got to do a translation thing one time. Do you remember my translation commentary bit?
No, I don't.
Oh, as soon as I say it, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. So we had a commentary person join our table at SSW, and I translated for him, and he never said a word the whole time.
You sure did. You sure did.
And the entire time, he's trying to play a psychopath murderer, and he's He's trying. He said, dude, I almost bit a hole in my lip trying not to laugh. Charlie Bonifer. So Charlie Bonifer sat next to me, and you kept trying to ask him questions, and he would just look at you and turn back. And I like, what he meant to say, Pete, was great.
You apparently speak fluent serial killer. So well done.
Yeah. I watched the Dahmer documentary. I was up on it, and he was wearing Dahmer glasses too the whole time.
He was, yes. Oh man, but that was a great time, man. The Contest of Champions was a dream come true. We had a lot of fun. I called the show with Kevin Kelly and Ron Nemi. Who I'm gonna admit, Ron Nemi, I only knew him from the deathmatch stuff recently. I didn't realize that he is a wealth of knowledge and experience. I didn't realize that he was in the business from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, and just at certain points, he and Kevin Kelly, because apparently they worked together before in Florida, I believe they said, and the two of them were just exchanging anecdotes during the matches, and I just sat back and listened because I was learning about his wrestling history by just listening to these guys. So this was another great opportunity that I would have never had if I hadn't, found my way to where I am and just sit and experience with these guys. And I picked up a lot of pointers. Kevin Kelly taught me a lot. Ron was a lot of fun. I hope I get to work with Ron Nemi again at some point. But what an experience that was.
Do you ever because now you're telling me the story, and you're telling me things they said on commentary. Do you ever watch commentary on TV or listen to it and be like, oh, I would have said this here because I thought it would have been a thing to add? Do you do that?
I go, that's not what it's called, dude. Stop calling it that, or call it this.
Yeah.
Don't say what a maneuver. Call it this.
No, I wouldn't. Not even like that. Just something like how you were saying how they were exchanging pleasantries on commentary. Like if I was there, I'm like, yo, you guys need a room? Do you guys, you know what I mean? Like
maybe if I heard it on a different broadcast that I wasn't on, I would have felt differently about it. But being directly in the mix there and experiencing it right then and there, I felt differently about it. But who knows? I mean,
Kevin kind of was ribbing me or shooting on me a little bit at Icons, because our table, we were at a table and he was at the table next to me. So I'm trying to do my thing and I'm already uncomfortable. And I'm like, hey, everybody, do you want a free sticker for my podcast? And Kevin's like, ignore that table. Come to my table. Who cares about their stupid podcast?
He's brutal, man.
He did to me 3 or 4 times. And I was like, all right. And I was like, fuck it. And I just started laying into him. And then I'm like, are you going to go to Kevin Kelly's table? What's your favorite Kevin Kelly moment? And there's I'm like, don't worry. I'll wait. Just messing with him. And then the whole time I was like, this guy's a hermaphrodite. Didn't you remember The Rock said that? Just kind of ribbing him a little bit. And then I said, Kevin needs to realize that he's commentary scum like the rest of us. No one cares about a commentary person. There's wrestlers all over this place. Go to people who actually matter. Just messing with him. He's like, you're right. Commentary's the bottom of the barrel. So I started giving it back to him at the end. He took a picture of himself at Icons. And then I took a picture of me doing a selfie with his butt behind me. And then commented it on his Facebook wall. And he's like, you are into it. I was like, you started it. He's like, you want to get pizza? I was like, that's my guy.
No, he's a guy who could dish it out. He could take it. He can hang with that. And he's
a great sense of humor.
There was a promo seminar going on in the hallway, and he tore into somebody that was doing a promo. I don't want to call them out, but man, did he tear into him and just kind of dressed him down in front of the entire 50 people out there waiting. And then he came back and told us about it. Listen how I talk shit about this guy. Listen how bad I tore this guy down. But I don't know. I hope that guy learned something because what he was saying didn't make sense. So
yeah, the Contest of Champions was so much fun, and I think one of the things that for me that really stood out is there was you said 200 people there, and we knew probably 75% of them. Yeah, that's kind of cool to say, and these people were from a whole the only people we didn't there was people from all over the world that showed up, but most of them was either the Jersey work we're doing or Sanctuary, because people from Create a Pro or other places would come down and see it. And I knew some people just from researching in the comment, just the independent scene. I was like, holy crap, that's that person. And he's like, you know who I am? I'm like, yeah, man, I've been watching your stuff. I really hope that contest thing is something that happens every year, even if I'm not involved. Even if I'm not involved, I'm going. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely announced. They announced the following year, so this December, it's going to happen the second time. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that happens every now and then. It's I always remember I think the first or second SSW show that we did, and Too Hot Steve Scott was booked, and he comes up and he goes, "Hey, I'm Steve Scott," and we were like, "Yeah, we know, we know who you are, dude." He's, "Oh, okay." Like it's just funny how like we see these people on shows and they're so confident in the ring and they do their thing so well, and then you meet them and they're like, yeah, you probably don't know who I am. So they're like the humility is surprising sometimes. Other
Yeah.
people not so much. They're like, they expect everyone to see them, but some people
There's been
are
times too where we go backstage and talk to a talent and they're like, I don't have a character. And we're like, oh, and we've helped people develop characters for them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that's happened too. Like it's kind of cool that like we kind of are heard at some point, and that goes to the promotion, like putting faith in us and saying like, hey, go to these guys. They at least know what they're talking about. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, this past year, working with you and BP for the most part has just been an absolute blast, man. Pro Wrestling After Dark, IWA has been fun. Shore Star is an absolute blast. Love going there. I got a taste of a little bit of standalone. I haven't done a standalone show yet. I just kind of did an outdoor one, so hopefully that changes soon. But
Well, now
man,
you're being brought into the fold for Smash Master.
well, I just kind of I don't know what I'm doing yet, but it's not commentary.
Oh, it's still you're coming into it. So I mean,
Yeah, honestly, like I don't know if they want a 3-man booth, but like listening to the last 2 shows. Like last show, I got on the headset. Well, no, 2 shows now. I've gotten on the headset just to listen and help set the levels and stuff. Dude,
mm,
Jordan is really coming into his own. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something right now, and I know you're not gonna like to hear this, and we've said this before, but you are somewhat intimidating to do commentary with at first because you are good at what you do. And I don't mean you're intimidating by people saying like you're scary to work with, but you're good. You bring an aura and an essence about yourself that you know what the fuck you're doing, but you're also very like easy to work with. You know what I mean? You're not you make it as easy as possible for your co-host. But some people either do one or two things when they work with you. Either they fall into that comfort zone and they get better, or they panic and they let you coast and they just say the bare minimum to get by the show. You know what I mean?
We've had this conversation before, and the concept is gnarly to me because I can't see myself in that way.
I've heard you do commentary with other people, and some people float and some people swim. And
and,
Jordan has been a swimmer.
yeah,
He
he's what's cool about Jordan is we used to do commentary together for Backbreakers Entertainment.
mhm.
And he was brought in because he knew some of the people in there. He was local. So Brad and Brad DeMeo, half of the Diamond City War Machines, who I credit as the guy who trained me in commentary.
I heard Brad's amazing. I have never got to work with Brad on commentary. I heard he's
He's
really good.
He's really good. He's so much fun. Again, comfortable, welcoming. When I started working for Grand Slam Wrestling, I was working as Glad Bad. I was still wrestling, and my friends ran Grand Slam Wrestling, and they realized Pete sucks as a wrestler. But let's bring he can
Aw.
talk a little bit. No, they're right. They were right. But he can talk a little bit. So let's bring him into the commentary. And Brad brought me under his wing, and he taught me so much in such a short time. And I go back and I listen to the old Grand Slam wrestling shows. You can go on IWTV, and I wouldn't recommend it for you can watch them on mute, but if you want to hear my old commentary, it's not good. But also you can hear how it improves over time and how Brad helps me out. Once Brad got back into the ring shortly after that, we did our first few shows for Backbreakers Entertainment when they started streaming. Then Brad got back into ring shape and got back into the ring, and Jordan jumped in. And Jordan, he knows most of the people there. He's part of the Pop Cannon podcast, the channel. He does Royally Rumbled, and so he's a talker already, and he did really well, but he struggled a little bit because Backbreakers had a show every 5, 6, 7 months. So he didn't get the reps in.
Reps, yeah.
So towards the end, when Backbreakers started to build up a little bit, the reps got in, the improvement was there. We learned to work a lot better with each other. The chemistry got smoother, and then Smash Master came in. Rob Williams was in for the first one. Was he in for the second one as well? I believe, yeah, second one. And then Rob,
I'm not sure. I just clipped the first show, so I'm on.
okay.
I want to start doing the second one next.
Pretty sure he was in the
Spoiler
second
alert.
one, and then Robin, couldn't make the third one. Said he wasn't going to be able to make the drive, and the natural selection was Jordan, and he
He's so
came
good.
in.
I'd love
And
to work with him one time.
Yeah, we took off. I mean, we hit the ground running, and it's like it's weird because I feel like he was calling stuff over during that break when there was no BBE, because all of a sudden like he's like, all right, yeah, we're good, and it's like he has all these reps under his belt, and I feel like we're in the groove now.
Yeah, his
And it does
confidence level
help.
is really high. You could tell.
And that comes from knowing the product, knowing the people, knowing the stories. When you know what you're talking about, it's natural. When you go into a company for the first time, you have to do all the research on everybody there and find out what the storylines are. You're not speaking from experience. You're reading off of a card and reciting something, and that does not come from a confident place. But once you get comfortable with those stories, with those people, with the places, then it just comes off naturally, and the quality just skyrockets from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have more questions, and we are hitting the 45-minute mark. This is probably going to go a little longer than normal.
I'm a talker.
Yeah. But who are some people on the independent scene that when you see them on the card, or when you're going to work at a promotion and they're a regular, who are just some talent you really like to call their matches?
Oh man! All right, so we already talked about Prince Ahmed, and
he's high on the list, very high on the list.
Absolutely,
just because he's so creative. Of like, he starts the match and hits the knee, and then focuses on the knee every single move he does, and you're like, I didn't even think that was a real move. How did you do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's very high on the list,
and it takes a lot of effort on our part to get creative with calling his stuff, because a lot of it is completely unorthodox. Is not a word that even begins to describe his style. He comes up with things. Sometimes he comes up with things on the fly. I remember one time at Sanctuary, you and I were calling him, and he did this. I mean, he twisted somebody up in a way that we've never seen before, and we were just dumbfounded. And we talked to him later, and he said, "Yeah, I just came up with that on the fly. I was doing something. I said, oh, wait a minute, what if I grab this and then twist this?" And so you can't prepare. You can't take notes for this guy. You got to call him on the fly, and that's what makes him so exciting, because if you do it well, it feels so good to be able to keep up with Prince Ahmed, and that's one of the things. That's one of the sources of joy and fulfillment that come from commentary, is when you have great respect for somebody, and you're calling their action, and you're able to keep up with them, and you're able to, if you feel that you're able to contribute to what you're seeing and what the viewer is seeing, and you're able to enhance it. That's a great feeling. And Prince Ahmed gives every time he's out there, he supplies that opportunity to feel that, and I love it.
Mike, what happens a lot for another one that happens
a
lot for us on commentary is when that moment happens where you're like, one of us say something that just like was so perfect, and you just look at each other and you just do the fist bump on. That happens so much. I was like, after a match happens, we're like, and we'll be right back. We're sitting at ringside. We just look at each other and go, we fucking killed that shit.
Yeah, feels good, man. It feels
it
good.
Does.
You know, when those guys are in the ring and they do something crazy and the crowd goes wild, dude. You know, I mean, some of these guys are so talented, and they get those pops every time you come out. You know, we got to pop ourselves.
I'll stand up on commentary. If people have ever seen me on commentary, I'll take my mic off its stand, and if something happens, and I'm not trying, like, I guess a lot of people are like, oh, you're kind of like trying to be the Pat McAfee, but you could even attest for this. I was doing a lot of that before Pat McAfee was on TV. You know what I mean? Like, that was the energy I was bringing. But I love the fact that Pat McAfee's doing it on TV, because it's letting doors open for people like me to be unorthodox on commentary and be unapologetically be me.
But let me stop you there, because it's not unorthodox. Maybe compared to the industry standard, but it's not that's pure. That is a natural. That's his natural reaction, and I love it. I love to see somebody saying, "You know what? I'm just gonna I'm gonna be me, and I'm gonna let it happen, and I'm gonna enjoy this." And I try to emulate that. I try. Sometimes I find myself holding back, and other
you make
times
that one noise.
Oh,
I can't even replicate. You make a noise. I don't know what it is. You do like a squeal almost. Like
I probably do it way more than I should.
I love it. I love when you do it. It fires me up. When what's his name pistol whipped somebody at IWA, I stood up. I'm like, Someone just got pistol whipped at a wrestling show.
Listen, you mentioned it earlier. Intense Wrestling Alliance in Nutley, New Jersey.
That crowd is so much fun.
What a fun promotion to work for. They got a show coming up February 18th. Anarchy Rules.
They sell out for a reason.
They sell out every time, and they started selling out when I got hired as on commentary. So I don't know if that's connected. Who knows? It's total speculation. Anyway, um, and it's just so much fun because the crowd is so rowdy, and they get behind their favorites, and they want to murder their least favorites, and they're not shy about showing it, and it's just fantastic.
Fight was gonna break out.
Yes, with
Face and the one fan. I stopped calling the match. I was just staring at it. I was like, yo, something's about to happen here.
Oh yeah, what you were talking about, Yayo, who is the Zero Limits champion, which is basically their hardcore title, comes down with 2 armed guards, 2 armed goons. It's this show's in New Jersey. It's like the Wild West, but they legitimately are strapped. And
I may shit on Jersey every chance I get on commentary, but in my heart, I want you to know I fucking love you. It's because you're crazy. Yeah.
So one of the goons gets up on the apron and hits Charlie Bonifer in the back of the head with his pistol. With his
no
gun.
One told us.
So what an opportunity to have something very unique happen and us to be on the mic to call it. So that's what commentary is allowing us to
Frank
experience.
Told me that's what secured me as a commentary judge. He was like, I didn't tell you guys that pistol whip was coming, and he purposely stood next to the commentary table for that match. And when he see me stand up and like say what I said on commentary, he was like, you're here. Like you're stuck here. You know that, right? And I was like, because I remember, I think I said, Pete, I think we're an accessory. I think we have to fill out a police report. Like someone.
So good. So good. Those guys have such a good time, and we and through that we have such a good time. So getting back to other names. Yes, Mike Skyros. So I see him on the card. I go, yes, I get to call Mike Skyros match. You know, I was calling him in Grand Slam Wrestling when I was starting out, when he was a young boy for Brute Van Slyke, training in the Brute Dojo, and he and oh my God. Riddick. Jacoby Riddick, tagging up and just I loved watching those two grow and develop their personas and whatnot. And then they went back to New York for a long time. I didn't see them, and when he started, and I was watching what he was doing tons of great stuff, working on his character, working on his image, which is just fantastic right now. He is an incredibly marketable personality right now. And then he started coming back to PA, which made me very happy. And I love calling his stuff. He is. I always said that he reminded me of a young Brian Pillman, and that was before Brian Pillman Jr. started. So I had to stop calling him. I had to stop saying that he reminded me of young Brian Pillman. But that's what
he's changing himself even again. Like he's going from more of that high flyer to almost like a hostile. He's putting muscle mass on, and it's changing his style as a wrestler too.
Continuing the evolution of Mike Skyros. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I like making Moon Knight references on commentary because he's a big Moon Knight mark, just like me. So far more than I am. But I like saying that he's channeling his inner Jake Lockley and whatnot. And
I like to use the tarot cards. The cards and the cards are reading. He's gonna do something cool tonight or something like that.
Yeah. But he's another guy, and JS Hawthorne. He's another guy. I can go on and on. There's MIT on there.
I wish I could call more MIT matches. I hope he comes and does more stuff at the Sanctuary. But I've been watching his stuff at Smash Master and everywhere else. That kid is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think MIT and Ricky Price are two names you should circle the Northeast Pennsylvania wrestling scene because they are special. Except
how about Tommy Vex? Tommy Vex is a guy who
idiot. He's a fucking idiot.
But he's so much fun to call because he's such an idiot. He and Mary Beth are just they're gems. They're the most hateable couple on the independent wrestling scene.
Hey, Mary's a queen. That's my commentary bit. I hate Tommy, but love Mary. That's my bit.
Enough.
I've been doing that forever. Oh, here he is. Here, Jordan, you missed it. We were blowing you hard earlier.
We were shitting on you like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Like wish you would. Diamond City War Machines, Brad DeMeo, Eric Pinhat, two dudes.
Real quick, go back to Tommy. Tommy's in a crew of 3 people who, if you think they're entertaining when they hit the curtain, him and two other people should have cameras on them at all points and times. And that's him, AJ Evers, and Trajan Horn. If you think they are charisma and they're just pure entertainment when they hit the curtain, they are even funnier on the other side of the curtain when you're talking to them. They're just so entertaining.
AJ Evers and I go way back. We tagged together for a long time, and he's given me many reasons to want to murder him. But because he is who he is, he gets a pass every time.
My favorite bit that you guys ever put on the internet was at Backbreakers, and he had this sign that said "Glory" and the O was cut out, and he's just like, "You get it?" And you're just like, you walked away because you wanted no parts of it.
It's wonderful. He legitimately found that in the garbage. Had no idea who brought it or where it came from. But AJ Evers is definitely another. And Trajan Horn, I just wish I would be able to see him again.
I just want to so much.
Let me just know that he is on this plane still. Trajan Horn, wherever you are, reach out, bro. I love you, buddy.
I think my favorite Tommy Vex AJ Evers moment is I went backstage at the Sanctuary to get notes, and I remember we said tonight AJ Evers versus Tommy Vex at the Sanctuary, and you text me while I'm on commentary and you help me out a lot. You're sending me notes and you're like, "Yo, they're wrestling tonight." I go, "Yeah," and he's like, "Oh, that's gonna be special." So and I just text you and go, "You have no idea." So I go backstage to get my notes, and as a joke, AJ's putting Tommy's gear on or vice versa. So the other one just said, "Well, I'm putting your gear on." And they put each other's gear on, and then it just turned into this whole bit.
Glorious.
And Trotsky had no idea. Trotsky booked a match, but didn't know how it was going to play out. And they literally said, "When you go out there, don't say a word to anybody." And they did an entire match as each other.
Yep.
And we called it on commentary as if it was a legit match and didn't say they swapped. And it was so much fun watching Tommy fight Mary and Mary fight Tommy as AJ. It was, and the whole time, like, man, Tommy looks great. He is in great shape.
I mean, those are two guys that it's going to be a good time to watch because when they go out there, they're having fun, and that's unfortunately that's
Peter DeLonge is the key of Evers losing the scrambler. He's never losing that scrambler. Ever.
No, he's Mr.
He's
Mr. Sunday Afternoon, classic AJ Evers, the man who killed Allentown. So many monikers, and one of them is Mr. Scrambler, AJ Evers. I can't see him ever losing it. But,
you're saying J.S. Hawthorne. Let's give him his roses.
Yeah, J.S. Hawthorne. I met him at the Sanctuary. Another guy that I met at the Sanctuary, and I didn't develop any kind of relationship with him until months later. But I saw him, and when you see him for the first time, when he's got his beard with like the design carved into it, the hair, and he's got the shirt off, and the chest hair is just puffed up. Yeah, the body hair is all there. He's a very, I don't want to say intimidating, but he's an awe-inspiring man, when you see him.
He's from the 70s or 80s of wrestling.
Yeah. So, but he's very friendly. Eventually came up and talked and struck up a conversation with me. But I've also seen, the storylines that he was doing at the Sanctuary, him improving, seeing all the work he's been putting in. He bought that ambulance and decided to travel with it, and just went he traveled 1,000 miles just on a whim. He's like, I think I'll go down and see what shows I can get on. And he really jumped in and just took every opportunity that he could and grew from it, and developed relationships because of it. And just watching him improve and getting more opportunities is just a lot of fun. And whenever I see him on there, I'm a theater nerd as well, so I like to make references, based on the character. So I kind of slide right in with the theater references and Broadway and whatnot. And so that's a lot of fun to have him up there too.
Yeah, he's really high. I think the only other people that I'll add on, just because we talked a lot about a lot of Northeast people, just moving to Jersey. And I remember I knew nothing about Jersey going there. Bad Company's high on my list, and I'll incorporate all of them, even Jay the Key and Pete Corvus. First time I seen Pete Corvus, I nudged you. I was like, this is my new favorite wrestler. Like,
Yes,
I
you
was like,
did.
this
Yeah.
guy, yeah, I was like, this guy is awesome. Bonifer's up there, and I have not yet to see Bonifer wrestle not hurt. He's been hurt most of the time when we watched him. Who else is really hot? Vincenzo is just he brings an energy that's just so easy to call. Leo Sparrow, another one I love calling on commentary.
This
I
like we're gonna have to go through the entire roster of each
Yeah,
of the
it's
Jersey.
hard, but Leo Sparrow, the biggest commentary thing ever is he has the commentary card. I hope more people do that.
Yes. Yo, if anybody is watching that any wrestler that's watching, Leo Sparrow has printed out an index card with all of his information, who he
Social
was trained
medias,
by,
everything.
how many years, everything you would need to know. Please. That makes our job so much easier because we're looking up on the internet. We're looking at sources that might not be up to date. You know, we might get the wrong information. And if you get there late or we're busy and we're not able to talk to you, we can't update that
going over
information.
your match?
Yeah, exactly. Because when we're getting notes, if we see you going over your match, we're backing off. We're waiting until you're, not busy. And Leo Sparrow, Contest of Champions. We sat down at the table, and there's a lone single index card.
SSW.
It said Leo Sparrow, and boom, there it was, all the information. I said, my God, this is amazing.
If
everybody
SSW.
could do that. What's that?
It was SSW.
Well, yes, there as well, but also Contest of Champions.
Oh, he had it there as well.
When I sat down with Ron Nemi, and Ron Nemi saw it and said, "Holy, well, this is brilliant."
You know, my favorite part about the index card is I took a picture of it at SSW and said, "This is the greatest thing ever." And you know who retweeted it? The AEW Tag Team Champions, both of them, Bowens, and I was like, "The Acclaimed, baby!" Right behind my head is a Scissor Me hat I bought at them Hamburg.
Nice,
love me some Acclaimed. Yeah. So we hit the hour mark, but I'm not stopping here just yet unless you got to go. But real quick, Rhonda, I fucking miss you so much. I cannot wait to see you in high tension and in Philadelphia. That means a lot. But anyway, let's talk about Gladbad real quick. Let's bring up Gladbad.
You want? I don't know why, but okay.
I love it. So you were a wrestler at one point in time, and you went by the moniker Gladbad, and you were part of a stable. And that stable, I wish and I hope gets more airtime on TV, because anytime they are giving a mic or given a platform or given an angle, they are so goddamn entertaining. I think Mike has been doing commentary for like Dark AEW Dark and Dark Elevation or whatever. I've been seeing photos of him doing, and he's so the gum chewing. The gum chewing in the eyes. Oh my God, he's so good.
An untapped resource. Like right now, they're just starting to tap into the little teeny tiny corner of it. He is an incredible talent. They're both incredibly talented, but Daddy Magic is just the way he can talk is incredibly unique, and I hope they give him more of an opportunity. The promo after the cage match, when he was all bloodied and talking about why he did, what he did, and talking about his daughter and how he missed his time with his family, but it's okay because he's there for Jericho. One of the all-time, and this is covering a lot of ground. I understand it. It's probably people are gonna say, one of the all-time greatest promos ever. That's coming from me. I'm biased. I love the man. One of the greatest. It made me feel what was going on better than most, and it was glorious. I wish all the happiness and success for those two guys, because they took such good care of me in ISW when they did not have to. They could have tuned me up and moved on, but they took the time to lower themselves to work with me.
I've been going back and watching old Chikara, and their stuff in Chikara was good too.
So good.
They cut a promo playing pool in Goodfellas for the one show in Pottsville because we watched it to review it because it happened in our like the town we're always in, and just them like they just cut a promo. There's like AEW needs to use those guys more. 2.0 baby, they're so good. But you were part of a stable with them as well as AJ Evers. I don't know how much we can go into the characters because would not fly today, those characters. No. I don't even know how to go about saying what they were. I'll let you because you could tiptoe around it better than I probably can.
They were biker dudes who were who had questionable viewpoints, and they brought me in as their estranged gay brother. They were Chad and Brad bad.
Gay
And they brought
bikers.
me.
Gay biker is the funniest thing I've ever heard
Yeah.
of.
So they brought me in as the glad bad. So everything had to rhyme.
Yeah.
Crazy PCP Manny was the father, and he was dad bad. And we had a battle royal, which is where all the bad family members came together. There was a brother who only wore plaid, and he was plaid bad. There was a guy who was angry all the time. He was mad bad. Sexy Eddie came in as the only graduate of the bad family. He was grad bad. It was. I mean,
ridiculous.
We didn't take ourselves too seriously. And also there was I won't even mention the name, but Sami Zayn was involved as well. But
was his name that bad?
No, it wasn't his name. He was just involved, and he had a lot of fun.
Okay.
But he was great as well. But nobody took ourselves too seriously. But that's what interspecies wrestling was. And now I'll start plugging ISW, because we do have a show coming up, April 15th, Magnum Opus.
That's the one in Boston. They're up in Boston,
in Connecticut, at the Beerix.
One of these days, if you have an open seat in your car, I want to ride up with you to one of those shows.
Brewery show. All right, we'll talk. I mean, let's. I'll talk to you about what the riding situation is for this upcoming one. So,
but
if
you have an open seat, I want it.
It's just so much fun. Everyone, it's a different. I know a lot of times people say, "Oh, this company's different than everything." It's so strange, because this company, Interspecies Wrestling, was like the quiet proving ground for guys like Kevin Steen and Sami Zayn. Sexy Eddie was in there. I mean, a lot of names. Player Uno, Stu Grayson. A lot of guys that you see that are on TV right now came through ISW a lot, and they still have ties to back there. But Interspecies Wrestling became this place where you can go and have fun and party. There were a lot of guys who had serious gimmicks on the indies, but they would come to ISW, throw a mask on, and do something silly, such as the Bad Boys. And I mean, there was El Hijo del Bamboo, which was a panda. And if I told you who was under the mask, you wouldn't believe me in a million years. It was just guys and girls that just wanted to go and have fun and enjoy themselves, and it was just an absolute party. And now that Mike Roch, the proprietor of ISW, is starting to regularly book shows again, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah, everything about that promotion you ever told me, it just sounds like an absolute blast. So real quick, you threw some names out there. I know
nothing's real quick. We're taking a whole long time on.
I know, but I want to. There's two stories that you definitely want to talk about that I want to get in there. So why don't you tell me about you said Sexy Eddie, and you said you had an interesting story of Sexy Eddie at a karaoke bar.
My favorite story of wrestling ever. I did a show in Montreal, Quebec, and it was my first maybe second time in Canada for ISW, and we just had a blast. And afterward, I brought my wife with me. We didn't have kids at this point. She came with me, and she had a blast as well. Everybody was super cool to her. That's another thing, that everyone is just so welcoming. It's hard to get into that group, but when you're a part of that group, everyone is just, everyone takes care of each other. Everyone's so my wife was accepted right away. And after the show, we went to a random bar in Quebec, and I had Canadian Budweiser, which is apparently a completely different beer. Still
stronger, right? Because they can have higher
stronger.
ABVs. Yeah,
slightly stronger. Still tasted terrible, but I drank it because
stronger headache.
Yes. So, and I think there was a WWE pay-per-view that night too, so we were watching it in the bar. Also in the bar was Jolly Roger, and Eric Cannon, and a few other people. And Eric Cannon says, "Who wants to go to a karaoke bar?" And I go, I look at the clock, and I'm like, man, it's midnight, and we're in another country, and we got a long drive tomorrow. And I'm like, I don't know, man. And my wife pulls me aside, and she goes, when Eric Cannon asks you to go, when Eric Cannon asks you to go to a karaoke bar at midnight in Quebec, you go to a fucking karaoke bar in midnight 100%, in Quebec. Yeah. So I said, you know what, you're right. So we went.
That was my fear with Pro Wrestling After Dark, is like someone was like, here's what we're doing afterwards. I'm like, Pete, we can go home tonight.
So we
It
all
doesn't
went
take
out
much to
and
twist my arm either.
yeah, right. So we went there. There was a few other people I can't remember. It's hazy. It's a hazy memory. But we found a karaoke bar, and up on the wall there was projector, and it was playing all the. This is probably like mid to late 2000s. LMFAO was huge at this point. Sorry for Party Rocking and Champagne Showers and all those songs. And I remember this was the first time that I was immersed in the world of LMFAO, because I was seeing these videos being played, and I'm like, oh man, this is great. But the whole time, Sexy Eddie is dancing. And Sexy Eddie, for those who don't know, I don't know who doesn't know, but if you don't know, Sexy Eddie's gimmick is basically he's a Chippendale dancer, loves to take his clothes off, and is legitimately incredibly endowed. And the only reason I know that is because there's no way to not know it. If you just glance in his direction,
it's like
there it is.
Colonel, what's his name from WCW, or the manager, Colonel Parker or whatever his name was. Yeah.
Oh yes, the story. So yeah,
with the blue Speedo. Yeah, you look. Google that.
I will say we did a spot where Sexy Eddie was doing the dick spot long before Joseph Ryan was doing it, and before he got famous for doing it. And Eddie always asked for permission and was very kind about it. But in one spot,
Eddie can do a coast to coast though.
Yes, he can. And I remember doing a spot where I had to do the dick spot where AJ Everson and I grabbed it at the same time, and I will say it was like holding Excalibur. That's all I can say. Regardless, so we're we're in the karaoke bar, and Eddie will not keep his clothes on. He keeps taking it down. He's got his banana hammock on, and he keeps emotioning over to men and women there in the horrified men and women.
Well, you got it. Go for it.
And the bouncer keeps having to say, dude, keep your clothes on. He was okay. Sorry. He'd get down from the table that he's standing on and pull back up, and he'd kind of glance over at us like, just give me a second. And eventually at 2:30 in the morning, the bar had enough, and they kicked us out. Eddie would not keep his clothes on, so they kicked us out, and we spilled out onto the streets of Montreal at 2:30 in the morning, and it was like prime time in any other town. There were people everywhere. People in the streets, cars trying to get by, but having trouble because there were too many people in front of them in the streets. It was like the busiest time of the night at 2:30.
Do they have like a lost call in Canada?
I don't know. Maybe not.
That's why they don't let people from America with drinking problems into their country, because like if you can't drink in your own country, don't come here.
Yeah. So we joked about, I guess there was some sort of flashlight party going on, and we weren't able to find it. So we decided
flashlight party?
Apparently it's a party where you go where people are having sex, and you go into a room and you're given a flashlight. All the lights are off, but you're given a flashlight, and there's people in there having sex, and you get to go in the flashlight.
Bucket list. Where's my paper and pen? I want to add a flashlight party to my list.
In my memory, we looked for it but couldn't find it. But it very well could have been just people saying, no, we're not doing that. But I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, hell yeah. I would have.
But yeah,
dude,
but my
wife, there's a flashlight party somewhere tonight, I'm getting in my car.
Let's go. Let's shut it down. We're done, everybody. Thanks for coming.
We'll see you at the flashlight party.
Yeah. But then we headed back, and I'll always be grateful because I almost fucking went back to my hotel room and said, man, I'm just really tired. I don't think I can do this. And my wife pulled me out and helped me to have that. But because of that, I'll never forget it. Eric Cannon, Jolly Roger, Sexy Eddie, and the few other people that were there that I can't remember. I'm so sorry. One of the greatest wrestling memory of my career for sure.
Well, since we're putting your wife on such a high pedestal here, we and she is amazing. I want to hang out with her more now, even more so than ever.
She's wonderful.
I know. She's so sweet. She's like, you can come in and sleep. I know you've been awake for 24 hours. I'm like, I'm good. I'm fine. I'm driving home. Like, because I'm someone who sleeps in, and your kids will be like, why is this long-haired homeless guy on our couch?
We've had many people come in. Tony Deppen was woken up by my child at probably 7:30 in the morning one night. So I mean, it wouldn't have been the first
time. But yes, so your wife, we've had a lot of monikers in professional wrestling of the world's dangerous men and dangerous women, of Ronda and Ken Shamrock. But your wife took on a black belt while you sat in the car holding her purse. Let's talk about that.
I wouldn't say a black belt, but it
was a Navy SEAL. You got
and 12 of his friends.
Yeah. You know how Shawn Michaels got beat up? Pete's wife beat up an entire platoon while P sat in the car holding her purse.
Yeah, she's like, honey, I'll be right back. I'm going to go beat these 12 guys up. And I didn't see them for an hour. Then she... All right. No. Oh, my God. All right. So
that's a different kind of, that's a flashlight part there.
Yikes, Aru. We're at a bar, but listen, my wife is a firecracker. All right. We when we were dating in high school, there was another girl that I was bouncing back and forth in between, and I ended up, staying with my wife. But that ex-girlfriend ended up being at the same concert as us, and neither of them knew each other. But someone else pointed her out to her, and she found her in the pit and leveled her. And from then I knew it was just, come on. But we were at a bar, and a friend of mine was very, very drunk and got himself into a fight. And this man started making very extreme claims, like he had just gone to jail for embezzlement, and he's a Hell's Angel, and all these ridiculous claims. And at the time I was working for a beer distributor that distributed to that bar, so I had to be on my best behavior. So we took my friend out to try and get him home. After he left, this guy came back out and started fighting with us. And he decided to tell us that he was a karate master. And at that point, we all realized that he was, it was just a matter of time before he was going to fall flat on his face. So I had my keys in my hand. I said, listen, buddy, let's just get back. And he pushed me, and my hand went down, and I dropped my keys. And when I went down, as I'm picking up my keys, I hear you, don't you fucking touch him. And I look up, and he is tumbling backwards. My wife just jumped on him. And he was tall and I don't want to take anything away from my wife. He was tall and lanky, but man, she just boom, and he went tumbling. And he got back up, and he was very angry. But at that point, the owner had come out and said, all right, let's break it up. And we all kind of went our separate ways. But I always like telling the story about how my wife knocked over a karate master.
So what actually happened was she Sparta kicked him dead in his chest.
She very well may have. I didn't see the context.
And he rolled down a hill and broke his neck and died. Don't mess with Pete's wife.
She's pretty incredible. She stopped me from getting a regrettable tattoo when I was in my late teens, early 20s. So for that, I'll tell you off air.
This seems like on-air story right here.
Listen,
she was down to go to a karaoke bar, drunk in Canada, and then a flashlight party, and then beat up a karate master. I would have let you get the tattoo unless it was that bad.
Listen. To this day, I still love the Insane Clown Posse. All right. I like listening to Great Milenko every now and then, but I was going to get a very large back. Butt. Yeah. I was going to get a very large back tattoo of the Joker's cards, and she talked me out of it.
Good call.
She came to college. When I went to college, she came to my dorm room, got me high, and played me Abbey Road, and the rest was history. And from then on, I said, this is the one for me. I owe her eternally
Can we add something to our bucket list?
What's that?
I want to do commentary with you at a Juggalo festival. Listen,
I would love it. Love it. All right. Every time I see God, what's a Juggalo Fest called? What is it?
We're not getting booked if we don't know the name of it. The Gathering of the Juggalos.
Thank you. Gathering of the Juggalos. I would love to just be, every time I see footage, I'm like, I would love to be there. Those people look like a lot of fun.
Dude, I go to a place, I'm like, oh, they're going to do weird things over here? I want to go. I need a story to tell. Everyone looks at me and goes, dude, how do you have so many stories? And I say, because I put myself in situations to become in those stories. If you would have heard the story I just told Pete before this podcast aired, you would shit your pants.
Listen, I've seen the Insane Clown Posse more than once. I've painted my face a bunch of times. I saw them at Woodstock. And at Woodstock, there were people that were painting their face. There was no running water at Woodstock, all right? And people are painting their face. I like ICP, not as much as those people. Right? Yeah. But I would love to, I would love to go and take part in that.
So besides that, what are some other places, we'll close with this, speaking things into existence, what are some other promotions you would like to work for, dip your toe into, even if it's just a one-off, just go in there and work with certain people or a certain promotion?
Gosh. I mean, the obvious ones are there. I mean, I would love to work for GCW. I would love to work for MLW.
I tried GCW. I tried so hard. I showed up at every, I almost showed up at every single one, but my car broke down. And I kind of think that maybe he thinks I gave up because I went 3 times and he kind of like didn't give me a shot 3 times. But then the 4th time, like my car broke down, but I showed up at every settlement series. I tried my best to say, if it was a settlement series match, I tried.
I don't know. I think maybe it's more like he has people coming up to him at every moment of every day saying, "Hey, can I get on that show?" And anyone who shows the slightest bit of interest in getting on the show, he immediately just shuts down, probably because of PTSD, of just being harassed at all times.
I think he was tested because I was the only one there who asked, and people were putting me over of like, "Uh-oh, please tell me my computer just didn't freeze."
I see you. You're good.
My screen's black. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can see you. You're handsome as ever.
I don't know what's happening. I'm just gonna keep talking, but yeah.
Okay.
So the first show, unless it shuts down, then I have no idea what's happening. Just text me then, because my screen's completely black right now.
It's your computer saying, "Yo, this has gone more than an hour. What's going on?"
Probably, yeah. My biggest fear is that it just corrupts and I lose this whole interview. I'll cry. Yeah. So I went and I just kept, and people were putting me over. And then the one show, he moved commentary down to the floor, and he went on commentary and he just kept looking over at me, like watching him do commentary, like he was cucking me. And I was just doing, and I still just became that fan and had a good time. Like, but no, I totally get that. He had a lot of, he has people all the time asking stuff like that. So, dude, I think it's frozen. I think I'm fucked.
Well, I see you and I hear you just fine. And the clock counter is fine. I think your screen just crapped out, dude. I think you just can't see.
No, it's frozen. It's completely frozen. I don't know. I don't know how to end the interview.
Now you're frozen. Now you're frozen on the audio. Folks, thank you so much for joining us on the ABJ podcast. My name is Pete. Oh, wait, you're back. You're back.
Oh.
Now I can't hear you.
Oh, that scared me.
There you are. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that GCW is on my list.
This didn't happen with anybody else's interview. All right. I want a do-over. I want another 2 hours next week.
Dude, I'll talk to you all the time. You know that. Yeah. So GCW is on there for me. House of Glory is on that list too. I would love to work House of Glory, but here's the thing: like, I'm at the point now where I want to work these promotions, but if I'm not working with like certain people, I don't want to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I got an opportunity to GCW, like that'd be fun. But I'd have way more fun doing it with you or Brian or like Noah or Jordan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of like my crews. You know what I mean? Like, I've worked with other people and they're fine, but they're just like, I feel like we have good chemistry. I feel like I'm good at what I do and I can stand on my own. But I think as a package deal, as a team, I think we bring something so much different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, you can go back, if you go back on, check out Short Star Wrestling on YouTube. I just discovered that we have a YouTube page, by the way.
I have it linked in my thing
nice.
below.
Excellent. If you go back,
and IWA.
ABJ and I were in there from the very beginning, from the very first show. So we were into the ground level. We were able to we
were booked before the talent was.
Yeah. And we were able to witness the stories unfold and see the talent come in and realize the vision. And this is from what I understand, I guess the market in the Wildwood area in Rio Grande, there was not wrestling for a long, long time. And people were looking to do something with it. And so we came in, there was great response. We built something there. I think it organically happened. People are putting work in to make this happen. And you and I being in there from the beginning, I think is really something really special because we're able to say that we were there from the ground level.
I wish I could do more, but we don't live by it. It's hard for us to tell people in Northeast Pennsylvania to drive 3 hours to the Jersey Shore to watch a wrestling show.
Yeah, we're kind of on the outside. The only thing we could do is just
here talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. So or drive traffic to the YouTube page or the IWTV page. So folks, check out Shore Star Wrestling. It's a really great group of people doing some really great stuff, and it's at the No Limits Boxing Academy, which is a boxing academy that it benefits the community. It keeps kids off the streets, teaches them a feeling of community, helps them with life skills. Great group of people there as well, and it's a pleasure to work for that company.
You know how good this building is? Pete lost his wallet, and someone in this building found it and mailed it to Pete, and everything was still inside of it. Every single dollar that
I was devastated.
He thought everything.
Everything in my wallet. When we drove an hour away until when I realized that I lost it. So there's no going back.
And we had the thing is, he thought he lost it, but we stopped at like 4 gas stations to try to find a bathroom. So it was in and out of the car, and we didn't know if he dropped it between there And it was a nightmare. But somebody at the No Limits Academy in Rio Grande found this wallet and mailed it back to him, and
Some
it was
sweet, sweet angel.
yeah.
Everything intact. And
I hope we find who that person was at the next show. What
I
if it was
hope
a hot
so.
mom?
I actually have I've been procrastinating, so I haven't done it, but I have a package. I have a care package going off to that person because I have their return address. They didn't put their name on the return address, but I do have their return address, so I'm going to be sending something them to as a thank you. But yeah, Jersey's cool, man. You know, Jersey's tough to get to. Jersey's got drama.
I can't wait for Shore Star to do it during the peak season of the Jersey Shore hours, where like we can get outside tourists to do it, and possibly hint, maybe there's a show that might be happening on the boardwalk.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Fingers crossed, man. You know, one of those, like you said before, one of those bucket list things.
Yeah, I did. My only because you and Jordan couldn't make it a show. I did commentary in a grocery store parking lot for at the last Backbreaker show, the last one, and
well,
and
Jordan can make it. They just didn't call him.
Yeah, dude, that would have been a cool opportunity to do me, Jordan, and Brian. But and we drank, like me and Charles Dorian brought beers out for me and Brian, so we got to drink during commentary in a grocery store parking lot with cops around, and it was awesome.
Fantastic. Glorious.
Drinking and commentary is really fun. I don't recommend it for everybody, but if you can handle your booze, it's a great time.
One of the reasons that interspecies wrestling is fun, especially at having it in breweries, and you know, when a promotion allows you to just have maybe one, maybe two as you're drinking or as you're calling, that's a lot of fun too. You know.
Yeah. Pro Wrestling After Dark. We drank a couple there. Well, another promotion I worked for that they don't book me anymore. We had a couple beers at that show. You know, $40 is a lot of money. But anyway, we'll close out there. Pete, thank you so much for everything, brother. I know we had other topics we want to talk about, but this is not over. I'm gonna have you on again, and we're gonna do stuff. I do have other content coming where we're gonna do like movie reviews and music reviews, and that's another thing we talk about a lot is music. You've turned me on to a lot of cool bands and a lot of cool things. Man, what a blast! I love you to death, man. When anyone tells me that they enjoy my commentary, I literally say I'm shit without Pete DeLonge. Like you, dude, you made me who I am as a commentary person. You helped me become who I am, but also honed in on letting me become who I want to be on commentary and making that good instead of like everyone wants to be the next. Every ring announcer wants to be the next Howard Finkel. Every commentary guy wants to be the next insert name here. But you know a way to help people focus on what they want to be and make them good in that aspect. And you're fucking talented, and I know you don't like to get that praise, but you're the GOAT, man.
I appreciate that, and I am incredibly uncomfortable right now. So thank you.
I know. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I like to do too. I like to make you uncomfortable. That's honestly the main reason why I like being a heel is with you, because I say things that you're like, oh my! If I can make you cringe, I've done my job. And I think Standalone's the first show I went for it. Like I fully went for it at Standalone. There was a few shows I remember on commentary I said something heelish, and you're like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, I'm trying something out." Like I said it on commentary, and then I remember we were doing the Standalone show, and you're doing a video, and you're like, "Hey, we're here at Standalone Shore at the park in whatever we're at," and I go, "Turn the camera." I said, "You know what's the best part about being in Jersey?" I said, "We're the best looking guys here." I said, "Turn the camera around and show these mongoloids." And you're like, "Oh my God."
You said, "Show them these mutants."
Oh, these mutants. That's what I said, mutants. I don't remember what I said. But yeah, mutants. And you're just like, "Oh," and you turn the camera and you're like, "I'm sorry, honey, if I die." And I was like, "Yo, we're on to something." Like we were good before. Yeah. And I was like, I think if I can figure this heel thing out. And then we've been off to the races, man.
Listen, all I want to do is show professional independent wrestling that commentary and broadcast teams should be by the standard should be quality. Quality broadcast teams shouldn't be an added bonus. It should be the standard. It should be what's expected. It shouldn't be just some random person going in there and sitting on comment saying, "Who is this guy? I don't know anything about this guy." Well, there.
Like Booker T on NXT.
Let's raise the standard of broadcasters here. You know, we want to improve your product and bring value to your product. Let us do it. Let us do that and recognize that we're doing that. You know, when you're announcing talents, announce your broadcast. Give the broadcast team a graphic. Yeah, absolutely. Let people know what's going on. When you upload to IWTV, you have the match listings on the bottom. Put commentary team, whoever's on there. When you're releasing a match or a show on YouTube, do the same there. Give us the same credit and allow us to raise the value of your product, because we're telling your story. And if we're doing it well, we deserve to be in there with everybody else.
I totally agree. And listen, even if you want myself or Pete or both of us for commentary, and maybe you're too far away, maybe you're like, hey, our promotions is overseas in the UK, or we're in Australia, or we're somewhere in the world. Me and Pete have the technology to do commentary in remote and send it back to you. Our doors are open for commentary jobs, even if we cannot make it to your promotion. Hit us up. We're down. That's kind of bucket list for both of us. If we can be heard internationally commentary, we're down to do it, and we'll work together and we'll get it done, and it'll sound amazing.
That's right. I've got plenty of my own post-production stuff that's done right here in this studio that I built, that my wife and I built with our bare hands. Check out ETWA, Eastern Townships Wrestling Association in Vermont. I do commentary for them. They have a lot of great stuff on there. Sonny DeFarge is their champion, and of course, Top Rope Promotions in Massachusetts. I do commentary for them as well. Right now, Channing Thomas is their champion. Jorah Joel, plenty of talent there. Little Mean Kathleen always there. A couple of great promotions that I do work for. Check them out on YouTube and whatnot. And what you hear there, Blackwell and I can definitely reproduce for you as well.
Yes. If you want to check out the shows that we're a part of, the links are below for SSW. You could buy your tickets. You could buy tickets to High Tension Wrestling. You could buy the tickets to Smash Master Wrestling, High Ground Wrestling. All those tickets are below that you can check us out this month. Also, if you are not in the area and you want to watch these promotions, on my main YouTube page, you scroll down, there's going to be a tab that says Follow My Friends, and it's everyone that you should be supporting. Click on them and subscribe, and then underneath that is companies I work for, and you'll see the Sanctuary, you'll see High Tension, Smash Master, Shore Star, IWA, PPW, Standalone, and then you can also see us on Fight TV as well as IWTV. We're on a lot of promotions there, but I'm going to put a link in the chat. This is Pete's personal YouTube channel. Last time I promoted this, he lost subscribers, so don't be that person.
Lost one.
He lost one. But Pete does breakdowns where he goes through the shows that he works for and gives a lot of extra insight on the promotion and the talent. The guy works his ass off, and I love you. I appreciate you, all you've done for me, and how you continue to make me better.
I appreciate you bringing me on here and chat with me. And while we're throwing out plugs, make sure to check out Interspecies Wrestling as well. April 15th, Magnum Opus at the Beerix in Connecticut. That's going to be a good time. And Blackwell, what a blast! I mean, we always have fun when we're together. This is a good time. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, we're going to be driving around a lot in Jersey the next couple weekends, and I think almost every Saturday from now to the end of the month we'll probably be with each other in some form or fashion. I am bringing the vlog back, so you'll probably see Pete a lot on the vlog. So that's something to look forward to, and we'll see you guys next time on the ABJ Podcast. Make sure you check out the links below to follow us on all social media, as well as buy ABJ merchandise or check out the Patreon. $1 helps go a long way to help pay for the bills like StreamYard and all these different platforms we're using, and tickets and tolls. You know what I mean? Not tickets. We don't get tickets, but gas and tolls to shows. That Patreon can be very, very helpful. I think I paid more in tolls than I'd like to admit this last year. But anyway, here's some outro music by Billy Trey, and we'll see you next Tuesday with our next guest.